ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सञ्जय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः।
Hare Krishna. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna spoke the following words.
श्रीभगवानुवाच कुतस्त्वाकश्मलमिदं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन।
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting. A man who knows the value of life, they lead not higher planets, but to infamy.
क्लैब्यम् आस्मागमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय्युपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्तोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप।
O son of Bharata, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy.
अर्जुन उवाच कथं भीष्ममहं संख्ये द्रोणं च मधुसूदनः इषुभिः प्रतियोत्स्यामि पूजार्हवरिसूदना।
Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship?
गुरून् हत्वा हि महानुभावान् श्रेयो भोक्तुं वैक्ष्यमपीह लोके हत्वार्थकामांस्तु गुरूनिहैव भुञ्जीय भोगान् रुधिरप्रदिग्धान्।
It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood.
न चैतद्विद्मः कतरन्नो गरीयो यद्वा जयेम यदि वा नो जयेयुः यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामा तेव स्थिता प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्रान्।
Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield.
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्।
Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure. Because of miserly weakness, in this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is the best for me. Now I'm your disciple and soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्यात् यच्चोकमुच्चोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमा वसपत्नमृद्धं राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम्।
I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win the prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven.
सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा हृषीकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तपा न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः।
Sanjana said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight and fell silent.
तमुवाच हृषीकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः.
O descendant of Bharata, at the time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna.
श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादाश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead.
न त्वेवाहं जातु नासं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परम्.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र नामुह्यति.
As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्णा सुखदुःखदा आगमापायिनो नित्या तान् स्थितिक्षस्व भारत.
O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in the due course are alike the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O son of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
यं हि न व्यतयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभा समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोमृतत्वाय कल्पते.
O best among men, Arjuna, a person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation.
नासतो विद्यते भावो नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः.
Those who are sharers of the truth have concluded that the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the internal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both.
अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं तत्तं विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति.
That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy the impossible soul.
अन्तवन्त इमे देहा नित्यस्योक्ताक्षरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत.
The material body of indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata.
य एनं वेत्ति हन्तारं यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते.
Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks is slain is in knowledge, for the self slays, not nor is slain.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो नाहन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं ययेनमजमव्ययं कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम्.
O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill?
वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णा अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि.
As a person puts on a new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः.
The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapons, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्ताणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः.
This individual soul is unbreakable, insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present, and everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. That was really powerful recitation, Gita Mataji, and very nice English recitation, Niti Lakshana Mataji. Very nice. Hare Krishna. So welcome, dear devotees, to today's chat session. It's wonderful to be in your association again. So today we continue our recitation of Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 2, and we will be discussing text number 22 in more detail. The chapter is entitled The Contents of the Gita Summarized. But as we traditionally do, we will now recite the Mangala Charanam prayers. You can also please follow if you like behind muted mics. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sya Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadishatarine. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we shall read text number 22. Vasamshi jirani yatha vihaya Nigrinati naroparani Tata sarirani vyahaya jirnani Anyani samyati navani dehi. Such beautiful words the Lord's used. Vashamshi jirnani navani grinati parani sarirani jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Word for word translation. Vasamsi, garments. Jirnani, old and worn out. Yatha, just as. Vihaya, giving up. Navani, new garments. Grinati, thus accept. Naraha, a man. Aparani, others. Tata, in the same way. Sarirani, bodies. Vihaya, giving up. Jirnani, old and useless ones. Anyani, different. Samyati, verily accepts. Navani, new sets. Dehi, the embodied. Hare Krishna. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of body which appear from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and again from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. This has already been explained in the previous verse, 213. Transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the supersoul. The supersoul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul. One friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the Mundaka Upanishad as well as the Svetashvatara Upanishad, compare the soul and the supersoul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the atomic individual soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, Krishna, is simply watching his friend. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is the witnessing bird, and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is the servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another or from one body to another. The jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body. And as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, As Arjuna agreed to do by voluntary surrender unto Krishna for instruction, the subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentations. Both the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.2 and the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 4.7 confirm this. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno nishaya sochiti muyamanaha justam yadha pashyati anyam isham asya mahimanam iti vita shokaha. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or other he turns his face to his friend the Lord and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. Arjuna has now turned his face towards the eternal friend Krishna, and is understanding the Bhagavad Gita from him. And thus, hearing from Krishna, he can understand the supreme glories of the Lord and be free from lamentation. Arjuna is advised herewith by the Lord not to lament for the bodily change of his old grandfather and his teacher. He should rather be happy to kill their bodies in the righteous fight, so that they may be cleansed at once of all reactions from various bodily activities. One who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of bodily reactions and promoted to a higher status of life. So there was no cause for Arjuna's lamentation. The verse again, as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. So this is a very powerful verse. And the Lord is using a very, very powerful metaphor here of a person putting on new garments and giving up old ones. Now it's significant for a few reasons. You can notice that the word old, jirnani, is used twice in this verse. Old and worn out, old and useless. One of Arjuna's strongest attachments, and one of the main reasons he found it so difficult to fight, was because of grandfather Bhishma. When King Pandu had died, grandfather Bhishma played a very big and important role in the lives of the Pandavas, in training them, in growing them, in caring for them. And Arjuna's attachment to him, understandably, was very strong. But we know that grandfather Bhishma Pitama, his body was old and fairly worn out. So Krishna is choosing the words very, very carefully. The Lord is choosing jirnani, and making Arjuna understand that grandfather Bhishma, he is going to give up this old body. And when one gives up this old body, there is no need to lament. All of us have personal experience of this. That if we have some old clothes, there's not much difficulty in giving it to charity or discarding it, because it's old and it's worn out. Although I know some people, they can't get rid of even their old clothes because they're so attached. But generally speaking, it's not difficult. But our condition is, we find it very difficult. actually even to come to this simple realization, very, very powerful realization. In this body, it's very much like this analogy is this metaphor is so appropriate that everything new becomes old and worn out. That is the nature of material world. Everything we know in this material world will become old and it'll become worn out. And eventually it'll perish. So this body that we have is of the same nature. Krishna's father, Vasudeva, in the beginning of the Krishna book, he gave a very nice lesson. He said, he gives the metaphor like nowadays we celebrate our birthday. I'm celebrating my 50th birthday this year. How wonderful. Let's celebrate. But Vasudevi says, from the moment we are born, the body starts to die. It's perishing because every second that passes, we become closer to death. So this is our condition in life, that we are always in a state of flux. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the scientists. He says even the scientists have to accept. What do they have to accept? That this body is changing, this body is getting old, and there is no denying it. A lot of the scientists choose to say that when the body gets old, it simply perishes. The person dies with it, but that's not the Vedic philosophy. So we have to realize, come to this very, very important realization that this body is simply like a covering. It's not us. In many lifetimes, we've had other garments, so-called coverings. And in future lives, we may also have coverings. And just like we never become overly attached to our garments, we should never become overly attached to the clothes. We should never think that we are this cloth. Like if I was to stand up and I say, everyone, this is my cloth. This is my cloth. Then you people will say, you are crazy. I always recall an incident when I was in university in Durban, South Africa. Our campus was right up on a hill. And being lazy students, we wouldn't walk. And we wouldn't want to spend our money taking the bus. So we would stick our thumb out and we will hitchhike. We'd get a lift to the top, and in the evening when we're tired, we'll get a lift to the bottom. So one day I stuck my thumb out at the top of the hill, and a man came with a beautiful Audi car. He came and he picked me up to give me a lift to the bottom to the bus stop, and I was so happy. And as we were driving down the road, another car came in, out without stopping, and smashed this beautiful Audi. And I got off from the car and the driver got off. But the driver was so angry. He was so disturbed. Saying, you hit me. You hit me. You fool. You can't see where you're driving. You hit me. And he was very, very upset. And I was there and I was just looking at the damage and looking at these two people, having this exchange. But I wasn't particularly disturbed. And the difference is that this one person, two of us were sitting in the car. One identified so much with the car as if the car was part of his being. And me, because I knew it was just a temporary ride I was having, the car didn't belong to me, I was not affected. So in the same way, we, the souls, the living entities, when we start identifying with the cloth, like sometimes if you have a nice garment and you see, oh, it's got a tear or a hole in it, or ink got stained it, or some color ran on it, we get very upset. Oh, my garment, my garment. In the same way, we identify with this body. We identify, but this body is so temporary. It will grow old, it'll get worn out, and we have to give it up. So we have to live our lives with this understanding that is just like a garment. This body is just like a garment, it's just like a covering. Srila Prabhupada, very mercifully, he gives focus in the purport to the point about how the soul accepts new bodies. Continuously giving up, accepting, giving up, accepting, giving up, accepting. So Prabhupada gives particularly focus to this point that the Lord is making, the continuous. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the example given of a traveler with no fixed abode. Imagine ourselves if we were a traveler and we had no fixed abode. We just travel from one place to the next place to the next place. And because we never have any fixed abode, we never feel settled. We never feel settled. Life is continually just rolling, and we can never just sit down in peace and just settle and just be peaceful in one spot. The soul is like that, continually moving, 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 moving. And he said, if by time, that traveler eventually reaches home, it is such a relieving, welcoming situation for that traveler. Finally, I am home. And he can feel relaxed. So us, as the soul, continually changing, we are never relaxed, never peaceful, never peaceful. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is verse, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagya Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. What Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the souls are wandering. They are wandering from one place to another, and they continue this wandering process, wandering and wandering, until one day the soul finally gets to meet a bona fide spiritual master. Guru Krishna Prasad Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij. What happens when he meets the bona fide spiritual master? Bhakti Lata Bij. The spiritual master plants the seed of bhakti. Actually, Acharyas explain, this almost gives the impression of something extraneous being planted. No, the seed of bhakti is there already. But the spiritual master reveals that seed. And in the purport, Prabhupada talks about the wandering living entity. Actually, this living entity is not wandering alone. He is being accompanied by his very close friend, the Lord. And Prabhupada quotes the Mundaka Upanishad. And he gives them the analogy or the metaphor of two birds on a tree. One bird is trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree, and the other bird is simply witnessing. Is witnessing. And the comparison is given between us and the Lord within the heart. We are trying to eat the fruit, trying to find little fruit and eat. Constantly our position is like this, always looking for some fruit. And Prabhupada says, if the fruit in that one tree is not very tasty, or the bird finished eating that one fruit, he goes to another tree. And the second bird goes with him to the other tree. And in the other tree, he'll try to enjoy the fruit. And then he carries on this process. But all the time, the second bird, the friend, the Lord within the heart, and it's very insightful that Srila Prabhupada uses the word friend. So many times in the purport, Srila Prabhupada uses the word friend. At least, I can just see I'm looking here, at least 5 or 6 times. And Prabhupada says, just like a good friend always watches over his other friend. In life, we always need someone to watch over us, because sometimes we have the tendency to go astray. But if we have a good friend, we can be certain, if that friend is really a good friend, that friend will help pull us back on the right path. And some of us, we have experience of that in our own life, where we have a good friend. Sometimes we've drifted away from our real goal, or we were just, missing the plot in life. And those friends, they are there. They pull us back, and they pull us back to reality. So Krishna, the Lord, is accompanying us. And as a good friend, is waiting. He waits for us just to turn to him. And the moment we turn to him, then he gives us all opportunities. He gives us all opportunities to come. And Prabhupada says, Arjuna, he surrendered. And what happened when he surrendered? Immediately becomes free from all lamentations. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami gives 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. And the first characteristic, he says, is kleshagni. Prabhupada explains kleshas. Klesha means sufferings or lamentations. So we are undergoing so much of kleshas in our life, lamentations. But it is said, the moment we surrender to Krishna, immediately there is freedom from suffering and lamentation. That is one of the first characteristics of pure devotional service. And Prabhupada says Arjuna is advised here with not to lament for the body. Actually, if we truly understand that we are not this body, and say we are connected to somebody who is at least spiritual, and especially those are devotees, we know that we will eventually be connected again. All of us will know that one day we are going to meet Srila Prabhupada, for sure. If we remain in Krishna consciousness, and this is my meditation. When I look at my deity of Srila Prabhupada every day, when I hear Srila Prabhupada, I feel happy. I feel very happy that one day I will meet Srila Prabhupada personally in the spiritual world. The same with our spiritual master. Prabhupada says the relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master is eternal. The relationship between the devotees are eternal. So all of us, dear devotees, all of us who are on this chat program today, as time passes slowly, each of us will gradually perish. But if we remain Krishna conscious, all of us will meet again. And Prabhupada used to say, we'll have an ISKCON in the spiritual world. We'll have an ISKCON in the spiritual world. So there is nothing to lament for. And the Lord is giving us this very deep knowledge and explaining it in such a simple, easy way to understand. Such an easy way. And eventually, we will not have to give up when we go back to the spiritual world. There will not be old garments and worn out garments. We will get our spiritual body. Our spiritual body will be manifest. And then we will not have to give up old and useless bodies. Not again. There's some points. Let's just see if I missed any points. Yes, Krishna is trying to make Arjuna understand, especially in terms and connection with his attachment to grandfather Bhishma. So dear devotees, I'll stop here. Are there any comments, questions, or reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranams. Wonderful class. Thank you for emphasizing that we are not the body. We see that happening all around us. In fact, last week we lost a cousin of mine. He passed away something like 82, 84, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we try and bring, obviously we miss the person, the association, definitely. But at the same time, we know that they are not the body, and this is due to Prabhupada's mercy. I'll be honest, when I was growing up, I had no idea that I'm not the body. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, very true, Prabhu. Nice place. I was thinking today, this very, very simple, very, very simple fact. We can see it, we can experience it. The simple fact, we are simply covered over, and therefore we can't understand it. But the process of bhakti yoga is so powerful. Even a simple householder, a simple person like myself, we can feel we're getting this realization stronger and stronger. Therefore, that verse, I was thinking of this verse which I quoted, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnanaati Asuvairagyam Jana Chatat Ahaitukam. That simply by performing devotional service, knowledge and detachment come automatically. And we can see when we practice Krishna consciousness, we are not big yogis. We are not big scholars. But somehow that by the mercy of the Lord, we come more and more to understand how we are not this body. This body is simply a covering. It's simply like a dress. And every day it's getting older and worn out. And I was just thinking today, this is such a beautiful aspect of this process of Krishna consciousness, which you yourself have just confirmed, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu.
Yeah, and Prabhupada has given this Mahaprabhu's formula of chanting the holy names, which in itself is enough to take us back home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what else do you need? Is supposing I'm totally dumb, I don't understand anything, but I just know how to chant the holy names, that is sufficient. Prabhupada has said it so many times.
Yeah. And for this reason, a devotee is not afraid of death. One who is in ignorance meaning they think that they are this, like they think this body, they think they are this shirt, this coat. A devotee should never be in that ignorance. Never be in that ignorance, because by Krishna consciousness, we should be enlightened. We should never be in ignorance. So we should not remain in this position thinking we are this body, we are the shirt, we are this coat. We shouldn't.
Yes, and I have the realization that the Lord has planned to come and give us this mercy millions of years ago. And then, according to his own timetable, everything has been arranged in good time. And he sent his wonderful representative Prabhupada to tell us, come and enjoy with Krishna, play with Krishna, jump on his shoulder, eat from his plate. Where else can you get such wonderful nectar? I haven't seen it in any other religion. So here we are with the finest way of going back home in the most easiest way. So we are so grateful, and this association is what uplifts us. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Any other reflections? There are some very advanced devotees in this Sangha. I'd love to hear from them.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for a really, really wonderful class, Prabhuji. I'm reflecting on this one bird that is so engrossed in the anxiety and the moroseness of life that he's enjoying the fruit. And I'm thinking that, even it reminds me of Indra when he's in the pig form, in the stool.
Yes.
And even the spiritual master like Narad Muni comes to say to him, come back to heaven. And he's refusing because he's so engrossed in enjoying the moroseness and the anxiety that he's not seeing anything beyond that. And I think that's what we are. We're not able to see the higher truth or the higher purpose of life. We're so much involved in just this. We are actually enjoying the anxiety and the moroseness. It's almost like that.
Yeah, that's true. We are covered, we are covered. But Bhakti Yoga, the process of Krishna consciousness, even if we're very fledgling devotees, still we can get lots of realization. That's so powerful, this process is.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishnavani Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance.
Please accept mine.
Wonderful, wonderful class. Prabhu, a few days ago, I just had one question and then it just again, reminded me of your class. And, a few days ago, one of my devotee auntie, she came to my dream and came in her, like her own body, the way she was looking. So I also had a question that, yes, we have so many devotee friends and family, they left us and they went back to Krishna or wherever Srila Prabhupada's, mission is, he must be there. So my question was that when we go, how are we going to recognize them?
How we will recognize them?
Yeah.
We will just know because of the relationship between two souls. The body is just matter. Matter cannot have relationship with each other, connection with each other. So in this way, through Vaishnava relationships that are based on the platform of the soul, we will just recognize. We will just recognize the other person. When we go to the spiritual world, we'll just recognize our guru. We'll just recognize Srila Prabhupada there because of that loving bond, But it'll be in a different way. We can't relate to Srila Prabhupada as this sadhaka roop form, or in our guru in that sadhaka roop form. They will be in the siddha roop form, but we will recognize. We will definitely recognize.
Okay, thank you very much. I think then the connection with the soul, so the soul connects with the soul. And
Yes.
that way we get
When the connection is on the level of the soul, then that is based on an eternal relationship. But when it's on the basis of the body, no.
Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Puja Mataji, yes?
Yes, and pranam to you, Prabhuji. Now,
Pranam Mataji.
when the soul transmigrates from here to there, my belief is that the super soul is always there, isn't it? Wherever the soul goes. So they both go together.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That's all my question. Just I wanted to know that.
Yeah, Prabhupada is confirming that very, very clearly in this purport, that Krishna is with us wherever we are wandering. Even now, as we sit here, Krishna is the only person who knows our thoughts. He is the only person that knows our desires. And Prabhupada says in the purport, it is only by the arrangement and the mercy of the super soul that we get another body. Because it's only the super soul that understands this is the desire of that soul. This is the type of body that will satisfy this soul. So Krishna is like that. The super soul will arrange, okay, that's the desire, he gets such a body, she gets such a body. It is only by the mercy of the super soul that this is happening. Prabhupada says that in the purport, transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the super soul. The super soul fulfills the desires of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of the other. So Krishna is saying, okay, you desire to enjoy in the material world like this, like that. I will satisfy that desire. I know it's not good for you, but you're desiring like that. Still you turn to me, I will satisfy your desire. So our next body, if we are going to get a next body, that body will be arranged for us through the super soul, understanding our desire.
So if we desire to be with the lotus feet of the Krishna, our constant desire, it can be fulfilled then with
Oh yeah, definitely. That's
really?
that's what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita. Make your desire to come to me. It may be we have that desire, but still we have some impurities. We have other desires also, Puja Mataji. We have the desire to have Krishna, but we also have other desires. So what Krishna will do, he may give us another birth till all of those other desires go away. And when all of the other desires will go away, then Krishna will take us back. So certainly all of us, being devotees, we have the desire to go to Krishna, but we also have other desires. So Krishna will make arrangements to remove all of those other desires till there's only one desire left, and that's to have him. Then we go back to the spiritual world.
Can we have only one desire, even living in this material world? It is not possible. Not possible, isn't it? Material world surrounded with the family, and then we want to see them. So that's a desire, isn't it? We want to be with the family. That's a desire.
That's a material desire,
Yes.
Yes. But we understand that the ultimate desire, the true desire of the soul, is to be with Krishna, because we are a tiny part of Krishna. We came from Krishna. We are an atomic, Prabhupada says, an atomic part. Just like we desire to be with our family, our mother and our father, because we think we came from them, right? But if we consider that we actually came from Krishna, that is the person we truly belong to, that is our real position, then we will desire only to go be with Krishna, because we understand everything else is temporary, everything else has got no permanence. There's that verse, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, the definition of Anya Bilashita Sunya, Jnana Karma di Anavrita, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. It says, Anya Bilashita Shunyam. Shunyam means make zero, make void all other desires. And what are the desires? The desire for karma, jnana, and adi. Fruitive result, liberation, and mystic perfection. That's what Srila Rupa Goswami, because other desires means we have hostility towards Krishna. As long as we got some other desires, there is still some hostility towards Krishna. Hostility in the sense like, that I should have that. Not Krishna, I should have that. And we can only go back to the spiritual world when all hostility becomes zero. And all hostility becoming zero means all other desire becoming zero. That definition of pure devotional service that Srila Rupa Goswami gives, if you really study it, it is a very deep, very beautiful definition of pure devotional service.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other reflections or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
as a mother, you've given birth to your children.
Mhm.
It's very hard to cut that off, isn't it? You're always going to be a mother to them.
You're only on the mother, Mataji, as long as you identify with the body. You can think, yes, Krishna, it's just like if it was possible for this coat to have a baby coat, a jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You'll only be attached to that baby jersey because it came from this, right? But if
Okay.
you know you're not this jersey,
Yeah.
you know the baby jersey also, it's not connected to you because it's just a covering, you know. So this attachment is based on the body, on the covering, on the external. But if you have attachment for your child on the basis of a soul, that child is a devotee of Krishna. And that attachment is based on the soul, not on the body. And that's a different type.
Yeah.
I think you get the point.
Yeah. It's practicing is different, isn't it?
Yes.
Although you understand the theory, it's putting it in practice. It's hard.
It's true, Mataji, and we
yeah.
all, I'll be putting my hand up. I'll be the first one to put my hand up. I still relate to different people on the basis of the outer covering. But I get the sense, and as I practice Krishna consciousness, I definitely feel how bhakti is changing that whole thought process.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, does it matter how you die? And
Yes,
then
it matters very much. It matters. Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvitha. You know, that we take another body based on what we remember at the time of death.
Okay.
Yes. Our birth, Krishna, in the later chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that point very, very clearly. Whatever we think of at the time of death, to that state we attain without fail.
There's a lot of people, when they know they're dying, they start praying, don't they? People who know that they're going to go now, when they've been told by doctors or whatever that you're not going to, well, they're not told, but they know that they're only going to last another day or so. Then they start praying, don't they? So does that mean that they will definitely go spiritually? Or, they said it that day. They haven't practiced it most of the life. It's only on the day of the death or those few days they prayed.
No, Mataji, it's not possible. It's not possible. Our Vedic teachings, our wisdom books tell us that, just before we leave the body, it's like someone playing the entire movie of our life. Can you imagine if someone walked with you from the time you were born till the time you are about to die, and they took a movie of it, right? Mm-hmm. And just before you die, they played that movie for you. The scriptures explain it's like that for the soul. The entire life flashes past them. It flashes past them. Yeah. My god sister, she came to stay a few days with us, and she was once very ill, and she had an out-of-body experience. Mm-hmm. And then the out-of-body experience, he felt some beings were taking her, and they were moving at very high speed, she was saying us, and she could just see a light flashing, and these beings were just taking her, and she was trying to stop, and she couldn't. And then at one point in time, she just turned and she saw Srila Prabhupada. And when she saw Srila Prabhupada, immediately at that point, these beings that were taking her left her. Just left her. So this death is a very difficult process. Imagine, Mataji, you go home today, you find your house is burnt down, you lost your house. Or you go home today, you find out you lost someone very dear to you. Or you go home today and you lost some very, very dear possession to you. Each of those events by itself will be very traumatic for you. But death means simultaneously, at one moment, everything that is dear to you gets wrenched from you. Can you imagine how traumatic that is?
Mhm.
For one who is attached, but for one who is detached, it's not at all.
Yeah, I have noticed since I've joined Krishna consciousness, my thinking has changed because I experienced that feeling, what you just said. My brother, I was very close to him and he passed away suddenly. So I went through that process that my world had collapsed. But now, you know, things are different. So I'm thinking differently. So, you know, hopefully I'll get there.
Certainly, Mataji. Just stay with the
today-
process of Krishna consciousness, chant Hare Krishna, and
Yeah,
your realizations will become deeper and deeper.
yeah, I have noticed. I love today's session. It was very well explained. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's
I'm going to pass it to my friends to listen to when
all
I
right.
get the coding.
All right.
Mm.
Okay. It's now 8:46. I think I should stop now.
Can you
Yes.
clarify just one thing? And as you were answering Mataji's question,
Yeah.
jersey, is that, are you talking about the jumper?
Yes. The jumper.
Okay, thank you.
Garment. Yeah. Maybe where I was raised, we call it jersey. We call it jumper here in England. Yeah.
And the other
Well,
thing, you were explaining about your god sister's experience.
yes.
Hear that, then what chances we're going to have, Prabhu?
Prabhupada. Oh, I've been reading so many. Prabhupada is so powerful, Mataji.
That is true.
He is so powerful. Prabhupada is so powerful. If we are connected with Prabhupada, we do things to please him. Oh, we are saved. We are saved. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Ki jai.
Prabhupada ki
Ki jai.
Gaura Bhakta
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
devotees.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.